Yeah, yeah, yeah. All praises to the Most High. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, so fly. They hating and I think I know why. Cause ever since I changed my life, I've been living for the Most High. Yeah, since I've been in this truth, I can entertain no lies. And I ain't fearing nobody.
Alright, everybody, shalom, shalom, and welcome to the Search Engine International. I'm here with Elder Rawchaa here. Elder Rawchaa, can you hear me? How you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well. How are you? All praise be to the Most High. High in the name of Yeshua. Everything is well. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. Good to have you back with us. You know, looking forward to the show tonight. Alright, a lot of things going on all over the earth for us to talk about, and hopefully we can get to take some calls and speak with the people of tonight. Reminding them the numbers to call in is 646-200-4309. That is 646-200-4309. I was just told by Azariah as well, I think Randy Short is here with us tonight. So I'm going to go bring him in as well and see what's going on his side.
Okay, great. All praise be to the Most High. It's about time we bring Randy back, just so we can make a quick introduction for those who will, who haven't heard Mr. Short in our prior broadcast, just to give him his due. Sometimes we jump right into it, but Randy Short, titled Dr. Randy Short. Okay, we know him as a black activist, international commentator. He's been on a lot of news programs such as RT, Al Jazeera, even some BBC News. Worldwide proponent for black rights. Okay, on top of that, a Christian family man who stands for truth. And I think that even though I think that was a proper honor and an introduction, I'm sure I missed a few things. But all in all, he's a brother with passion that tells the truth. And with the elections coming up and so many things going on in America right now and abroad, I mean, I'm itching to hear what he has to say and get some insight on what's going on there in Babylon. So without any further ado, so that we can make sure we make right with this time, let's bring in Mr. Randy Short.
Okay. Alright, everyone, you listen to the Search Engine International. Remind you, numbers to call is 646-200-4309. Alright? We go over to Dr. Short.
Yeah, bless you, brothers. Thank you. It's an honor to be back among righteous people. A lot's happening. Even my time with you is shorter than what I'd like it to be, but I want to say something. The last time we talked about the times being evil. Mm. And I don't think when we talked about a year ago that we were even looking at things like the bathrooms, okay? Mm. And what that means. And, I mean, you've got Michael Jordan threatening to remove a sports team if men can't use women's restrooms, if we're not in a time that you've got people fighting. The President of America angry at people over not wanting men in the restroom with the girls. This is a country that's gone mad. This country's gone mad, and economically, if you look at it, China's threatening American ships. Iran is threatening to go to the UN against America and sue America over freezing its assets. America's got new bases in Senegal America's CIA and others are trying to topple the government of Brazil. You've got a revolutionary movement that's occurring in South Africa, which is poised to possibly explode into a fireball that's not even in the news. You've got the Panama Papers, where tens of trillions of dollars have been stolen from the public, from the rich, by the rich who don't want to pay. You have this fascinating character who looks like a Oompa Loompa from Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Oompa Loompa on a diet with bad hair and with citrus face makeup on as the front runner likely to be the president of the country, with a bunch of black sidekicks who have even less dignity than Step and Fetch It from the 1930s. And so we have so much going on, but in the hash of all this confusion, and the hash of all this disarray and discord, and I have to say this, and running against Donald Trump is a vicious, evil, incredibly wicked lesbian by the name of Hillary Clinton, who frankly is a henchman for the Clinton family. She's the alternative to Trump. And then you have something that nobody would ever believe, a white Jewish, or should I say a white Khazar socialist, who's almost talking straight up communism in America, and he's winning. Come on, this is, somebody who's just a little older than us would need to take a fistful of psychotropics every day to make it through the day to make sense of what's going on. But I try to say to people, God's still in control. There's still a God. There's still the one true God, Yeshua, Yehoshua, Yahweh. And we need to remember that the one true God is always going to be good to his elect, no matter what. It says, if we're faithful, he's faithful. If we're unfaithful, he is faithful, because he can't be untrue to himself. So the one true mighty God has his hands on us. Since we spoke last, gardening and farming has gone crazy. My neighbors next door are growing tomatoes in their front yard here in D.C. Growing kale. Everybody's got a garden now.
Good.
Nobody knows what this dollar's going to be. The key leaders of the world now go to Moscow and not to Washington. Obama's on the way out, and his influence, although his poll ratings are high, anytime he's got time to go to a black college to talk and tell black kids to understand and empathize with old white men who mistreat them, his shelf life is almost gone as a global figure, and people should keep their eyes on him. Other things happening. Just look at the strange weather. Look at the fact that we've had so many people, important people in particular, artists, the kinds of people that reach millions, dying, like every month, major ones. Very interesting time. Very, very, very interesting time. But, even when it doesn't make sense, there's a God. There is a God. If you look to the Middle East, you've got 500,000 babies starving to death, black babies in Yemen. And that's not even in the news. If you look at Brazil, they're looking to have the Olympics, and they've now got people telling folks don't come to the country. Here in America, things couldn't be worse. They're lying. Walmart is closing stores. McDonald's is closing restaurants. JCPenney's is closed. Lots of people are closing, and they're telling us the recession is over. Home sales are down. Wages are down. And the most interesting thing that wasn't evident when we spoke last. In the last 7.5 years of the Obama presidency, white American males have lost 1 year of their lifespan every year. They're living 1 year less. And that's not a trend that's going to suddenly be reversed. If people don't believe that God is all-powerful and able to look out for his own, it says that God can decrease a person's days. He can decrease a nation's days. Every year less of life. Do you know what happened? If we have another 2-term president, that means white men will live 16 years less than what they did when Obama became president. That means that African American men, with all that they do to us, will live longer than the white men that have the white male privilege and everything going for them. Oh, and don't get too happy for white females. Low-income white females. Their lifespan is decreasing as well, rapidly, in the rural areas across the country. For all the years that they've poured drugs into our communities in Europe, Africa, Latin America, and here in the States. And within the last month or so, John Ehrlichman, an aide to Richard Nixon, admitted that the war on drugs was created to destroy black people. He admitted it. And this comes at a time where, in the state of Illinois alone, where President Obama hails from, at least his most recent American home, 85% of the people who die from heroin are white and male. And all over America, the number of people who die from heroin and fentanyl overdoses is in excess of 30,000. Some studies expect it to hit 50,000 within the next 18 months. The Vietnam War, according to historians, claimed roughly 56,000 American lives. That means that in 2 years, more Americans will die from heroin than what died in Vietnam and Korea put together. And they've legalized marijuana in many states, and now the vehicular deaths are going through the ceiling for that, and so forth. So we're watching a society where even its privileged people are falling apart. And that's why I started talking about God this time, because we can spit facts and current events, but God puts the stars in the skies, and everything is set by his hand. And we're in a time where we need to gather together, pray together, look at what we can do for self, and we might need a place to run. Just yesterday, if you were watching the news, a delegate that Mr. Trump picked, he was advocating that everyone that had any blood that was black in America be deported to Africa. And he to have his appointment as a delegate revoked. The white hate groups have decisively rallied to Mr. Trump. And I need to remind people, 1917 is a very critical year. It will be the centennial of General Allenby marching into Jerusalem, taking Jerusalem from the Muslim Ottoman Empire. 1917 is also the year in which the mass murder of blacks in the state of Illinois in East St. Louis, which was the precursor to blacks engaging in armed urban resistance to white oppression. And so we're coming up on a centenary of this, and perhaps 2017 which was a very bloody year for the First World War, or the First European World War, if you can call it that. A very, very bloody year. We're looking at the possibility of war again, war of words between Russia and America, China and America, and so forth. So we really don't know. I'm thinking about a passage in Luke, and it says, speak not of the morrow, for you don't know what will happen in the morrow. We don't know. I really don't know, but I'm seeing signs of major upheaval. In fact, in this year, I was in Canada, and I was explaining that this year is the 7th year in the decade. 7 is a number for change and for things to be established. There are things that are happening in this year that are going to influence easily the next decade and beyond. If you notice that TIPP, that trade agreement, which is horrible, got passed somehow, the Europeans in an uproar. There's even a discussion if the British leave the European Union, that might be a grounds for a possible conflict. If you've been looking, America is arming its missiles pointed at Russia throughout Europe. If you go back not too long ago, the Russians have something. They have electronic, magnetic weapons that can make your weapon systems stop. And so we imagine if America does something, they actually have, I saw a CIA report where the Russians and Chinese now have better weaponry than the United States. This is the first time in 100 years that anybody's had better weaponry than America. First time in 100 years. So we're at the end of an age, and so we're seeing the fatigue of a dying, godless empire. An empire where there's no justice. An empire where justice is not prosecuting law enforcement officers that murder people in cold blood on television in front of live witnesses, but compelling states to have men in the restroom with little girls and call that civil rights and justice. And where that's ultimately going is, as this satanic order of the perverse elites goes, their aim is to pervert the youth and to establish pedophilia and decriminalize it. We have to remember that in 2011, December 2011, President Obama decriminalized or changed the policy within the American military, with Don't Ask, Don't Tell being overturned. Not only was homosexuality and all the sexualities made acceptable in the military, that included bestiality. So yes, you can have sex with Mr. Ed or Flipper or Lassie, and they cannot put you out, or Shrek for that matter. And this, I believe, these restrooms, and the reason that there's so much talk about this is because it is a design to bring in an order where children can be violated, which is the highest stage of whenever Satan seeks to take down a culture. He wants total access to the children. Hitler had the Hitler Youth, and I suspect American education, public education, if they make this normal, you will see this happen in this country, where people who oppose pedophilia will find themselves in jail as racists. In fact, an African-American congressman, by the name of Alcee Hastings had the nerve to say that pedophiles deserve the same human rights protection as minorities. So now you're even beginning to see so-called black people support perversion and confusion in this country and in the world. And Obama, do you recall, we watched him go to Africa and try to push the same-sex agenda in Africa. Recall that? And the country said no. Nigeria said no. And they made certain that the Nigerian president was removed, and they put in a different one. So we're looking at a very strange and odd and bizarre time. We're even looking at corruption within places like black churches. There's a elder, Dr. Earl Carter in the Church of God in Christ, once if not the most, one of the most pious, God-fearing organizations in the world, if not America, where its bishop, Blake, is being accused of molesting at least 2 males, and a black Pentecostal organization has spent over $300 million and settlements for sexual misconduct of its leadership. That's where we are. And so in this belly of the beast, where they're legalizing marijuana, working to make pedophilia cool, they're doing everything. We've got 2 hedonists, a male hedonist and a female hedonist. Many people are not aware, but they can find it on YouTube. Hillary Clinton protected a man who molested a girl and laughed about it. You can listen to her laughing, saying she knew he did it, and she got him off. Imagine her, and we need to remember that Ms. Clinton is the same one who has benefited from the blood, sweat, and tears of our brothers and sisters in Haiti and the Dominican Republic and in Libya and in Somalia. And if truth be told, other places. So we have a lot that's happening just all rapidly, and it all points to the fact that the time for, if not an imminent return of God that some people believe in, a return of either justice of God and retribution against the wicked, and that can be done by a military force, or something supernatural could happen to a society that will change the global landscape. And that's what we're looking at. So I'm just looking at the fact that no one knows anything about the money. No one really knows how long you will work. We don't know how long the grids will work. We don't have the money. Not America, they don't have it, and we don't even know where the money is. So that's the situation that we find ourselves in. And as far as Trump goes, the white population in America, and England for that matter, my understanding is if you don't make enough income, the Brits want to send people back to Sierra Leone and Nigeria and Ghana and the Caribbean. And at the same time, what the government of Jamaica is looking at, getting rid of the Queen. There are all these changes and signs that the Anglo-American global empire is crumbling. From within, from without, even their failure to get rid of the current president of Brazil. Say, 52 years ago, when America wanted to get rid of João Goulart, who was president of Brazil, who who was a populist and socialist. The CIA got rid of him in a matter of weeks. This one woman, they haven't been able to get rid of her, and they're the ones behind this. Are you understanding me? The changes, power isn't the same. Their power isn't what it used to be. And ironically, the power of America and Britain, if truth be told, is we, the chosen ones, bowing to them. Being different from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we are bowing down. Nobody wants to be Daniel. No one wants to be Daniel. No one wants to be the 3 Hebrew boys. Say, okay, burn me. God is God. You want to kill me? Kill me. I go to be with God. Get rid of me. God will, if God doesn't save me from you, he takes me to his rest. What do I have to lose? Isn't that amazing? Across the world, we don't have leadership anywhere. Maybe in your organization. Maybe there's some few faithful, pious people. But overall, we don't have it. So, in the words of Christ, we are sheep without a shepherd. And were it not for righteous people such as yourself that are trying to point people in the way of being right, being family people, being observant, having some system of law, because the law that these people have, that's for the rich and against the poor the majority, and poverty is constructed by greed and usury, which is sins. So in other words, mass poverty in this planet is one of the greatest sins of all times. So that's where we are. I mean, that's sort of where I want to put that out there. We really need, the same way Jehoshaphat led the people in revival, to pray and repent. We need to repent. Our folks need to get right, because the judgment is going to really be something. Really going to be something on us. Because as this empire falls, it's going to fall on top of us. I always share with people the Born Identity series with Matt Damon. I believe in the first film, he's shooting someone and they go over the balcony, and he survives because he lands on top of the person that he kills. We, as oppressed, chosen people within these societies, are going to be the break for their fall if we're not connected to one another in a righteous way and to the ultimate source of everything, God. And forgive me for being so religious. I enjoy talking about fact.
Hey, that's Randy, that's where we are. We are. This is what we need to be talking about. You understand? This is what we pray our conversations will be, and that's in the heavens. So go on. You're in the spirit. But I do have a few questions. I know you don't have too long, but I really want to quantify something so that we can rally against a serious attack within our people that I would like to discuss with you. And you actually touched on it.
I actually think that I'm just emptied myself out. I'd rather take your question. I would want to say one thing, okay, and that's not in the spirit, but to just let folks know that I didn't ask, but someone asked me to run for political office. I have worked on campaigns and volunteered on stuff since I was 4 years old. Never ever thought about it. But I had a situation here where a friend of mine, who's more than a friend, he's like a brother, came to me and told me that he'd been working for 5 years without a job description here in Washington, D.C. He's in the sanitation department, like in Dr. King's time, the trash men. And it so angered me that this man may work 6-7 days a week, and in 5 years they couldn't give him a job description because they don't want to pay him or treat him right. And I asked God, so strange, I have all these degrees, all of this, and I can't even help this guy. He's my friend. And Dr. King died for people like him to be treated right on a job. And it's the same. So I asked for an assignment, whatever it is, help me to be helpful to this brother. Because I know he's a good man. And I got a call that night to consider. And initially I laughed because I've been around politicians. I've worked for political campaigns. It's not necessarily all that appealing to me. I'm more interested in movements, in particular moral, ethical movements, which I think are superior to any government. Because if God is at your head, at least you're trying to acknowledge God and how you do things, you're going to get a lot further than man. It's my humble belief. Anyway, I accept it. So I am a write-in candidate for the city council at large for the statehood Green Party. I don't know if anybody's in America that's in D.C., but if they go online to the D.C. Board of Elections, if they wanted to vote for me, they can change their registration to the Statehood Green Party online, and they can vote for me on the 14th. I believe I'm going to prevail. If I prevail, I'm really going to need y'all, because when they find out who's in the race, they're going to lose it. I don't hate people based on sexuality, but I will tell people the truth just as sure as on Facebook. I talked to someone last night and says, you don't know how deadly what you're doing is. I'll hate you, but I'm going to feed you information to show you what you're doing to yourself. And you can't say I don't care about you, because I'm showing you something that will help protect your life. And I put all this stuff up every now and then. I'll talk to someone. I'll post all this information. Now, as a real season, you wonder why I put it up there. It's a challenge. People say, why won't they let you know that there's only God's way? If you try to go another way, you pay for it, and eventually. So when they find out I don't like abortion, when they find out, I say, if the state wants to let two people get married, that's the state. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God. This is my take on it. Don't bring it in the church. Don't try to impose it on people in their faith community. Certain folks will find me crazy. And I don't hate anyone. Don't get me wrong. I worked in AIDS, volunteer. I don't hate people. But ultimately, a man isn't a woman. An anus isn't a vagina. It can't be, never will be. Okay? Sorry. Folk out there think I'm trying to hurt them. They should just read up about anal cancer. The amount of anal cancer in America has gone up in 5 years by 1,800%. And it can kill you in 2 years. We have a thing called sepsis. If you have anal sex, you get bowel movement in your blood, it'll kill you. You can get typhoid from having anal sex. You can get tuberculosis that will kill you from having gay sex. I don't hate people. I'm just saying, when it kills someone, you have love in my heart, not hatred for the person. But that this isn't, why are they pushing it? Why are they driving this? They've never given us anything. They've never given anybody. They haven't even given their own white people anything. They let their own white gay folk die. And they push this on our children, pushing this on our women with that thing, Empire and Scandal on television, that garbage, and the filthy music. And the boys have to be metrosexual to get a record contract. So, you know, they're going to look me up, and they're going to be mad, and I'm going to get attacked as a hater of women. I hate everybody. I'm a racist. I'm religiously intolerant, even though I've been an advocate for human rights for Muslims and others. And I don't care, because if God is for me, nobody can be against me. And if they attack me, they're attacking me not because of me, because I've got problems. In my view, I'm a sinner saved by grace. I'm not perfect. God is. There's a scripture that says, let God be true and every man a liar. So I'm in that category of liars that needs a savior. When you talk like this, people in America think that you're a sociopath, not a president that kills babies and blows up weddings with drones and calls himself a killer. That's not a bad person, but people like me, I don't really care. So I'm running. If I should win, bless God. If I don't win, the kind of movement that I think will happen as I talk to people about what needs to be, and even challenge, pardon my language, what I call nigger preachers who collect the people's money. None of them trying to be a Levite, yet they want 10%. Go figure, brothers. They'll criticize you for trying to beat the Levitical vein, and yet they want the Levitical vein's money without any of the traditions or the rules or regulations. I'm confused, and I grew up like that, so I've always been confused. So, by the way, I'm going to get in trouble with them. Anyway, he's with the black Hebrews. He's tearing down. Okay, so it's very hard trying to seek the truth as folks get upset, but we keep doing it anyway, as it says that if you're faithful unto death, he'll give you a crown of life. So I'm running. Anybody that still deals with voting, with the fraudulent electronic things that hack votes, whatever, if they're willing to take a chance, I believe on a 1 to 10 basis in terms of wanting to serve people, I think I'm a 9 3/4. And that I'm done with that. I'm sorry about the self-promotion. I have a GoFundMe, Brother Azariah put up. You can write me, wrandyshort@gmail. I'm Randy Short at Twitter. I'm Dr. W. Randy Short and LinkedIn. There are lots of ways for us to communicate. And I actually want to ask your audience, do it once or twice. There doesn't have to be everybody. Send me some scriptures, because I'll need to read those, because I'm going to have to start having devotionals to deal with this. This is really something. So, thank you for allowing me to indulge you with that fleshly matter of running for office. So, back to this. You had questions you wanted to ask me. Some people on their way to pick me up, and I didn't answer the phone a few minutes ago. I need to text them. So, while you're asking me, I can text and multitask. Yeah. I will try my best to be honest with you and the answer. One thing I left out, and forgive me for leaving this out.
Okay.
Let's remember one thing. If you want to compare what America and England are to anything, is the first book of Maccabees, where they wanted to rape the boys and the families had to hand over their children to the Greeks, to the unbelievers, said, we want to corrupt your children, and you do not have the right to opt out. If you refuse, we'll come and kill you and get your children anyway. You know what I'm talking about, brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what this reminds me of. So please ask your question. Let me text the sister, and I'm listening to you.
Absolutely. Well, in answer to you, Mr. Dr. Short, we definitely
you can call you and be mine.
Okay, Mr. Short. I want to say straight out, I do support you in your endeavors as far as the love you've shown towards the community and the work that you put forth, putting yourself, your reputation, and your life on the line for truth. I support you, but I can humbly say that I'm against the electoral system and the government and what they stand.
I understand you. I ain't mad at you.
Oh yeah, but this is what I'll say, Mr. Short. I will send it to you, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. But I'll be sending it for you, not because of the electoral system. Do you understand? And I want to put that out there. But real quick, what you just said was a segue to my first question. I have two questions. The first question that I wrote down. Okay.
Well, I think we lost Dr.
We lost him?
Yeah, one sec. I'm authorizing the trample.
All right. Okay. Yeah, he's probably in the midst of multitasking. He said he could do it, but I was afraid this might happen. But let's give him a moment, give him just a few moments, and just bring him right back in. And of course, we would support our brother's efforts to do truth and to bring light to the darkness which is destroying our people internally. And I would support him with that. But we're not going to be. We're definitely not supporting elections per se. Understanding who pulled the strings at the top. But I'm sure he'll ruffle a few feathers. And he'll need our prayers if he do win. He'll need those more than anything we can send through GoFundMe. I'll tell you that. But let's see if we can get Mr. Short back on.
All right. In the meanwhile, while we're trying to get Mr. Short back here, I'll just go to a quick commercial break. We have minute one here, and just reminding the listeners that you are logged into the Search Engine International on Blog Talk Radio. The numbers to call is 646-200-4309.
This is life-changing information. If you have health challenges that are not being resolved, then pay a visit to drnaturally.com. Did you know that the Creator designed the body to regenerate? Weaknesses can be strengthened and the body brought back into balance to function at its optimum state. To assist the body's healing mechanism, I use body cleansing with herbal protocols in combination with the natural health laws. I aim to equip you with the necessary tools to help you achieve vibrant health. If you have the faith and commitment to do what is necessary to regain your health, then you are on the winning side. The initial 15 minutes talk is absolutely free. Visit www.drnaturally.com. Join the health revolution today.
Alright, welcome back everybody. I think we have Dr. Short back here, so let me pull him back in. Mr. Short, you there?
Yes, I'm sorry it cut off. I did not hear. He was saying something I agree with. You know, most of us vote out of either habit or sense that we have to, because it's proof that we're not slaves. We're trying to convince ourselves that we're not. So now we got to vote. They can kill our children in real time on video and say it's not murder, and some folks think that's freedom. Go figure. So I'm with the rabbi there. I'm absolutely with our teacher that my fundamental sense is not so much to have an office, but like I said, to be in a movement for change. And I could even handle if most of the people aren't involved, but some of the people who claim to know God need to stand up and be on principle on one accord, as in Acts 2 and 4, in particular the latter parts after 35. We need a Pentecostal experience of coming together and looking out for each other and recognizing who God is and overcoming our love for things and our hatred for one another. That's what's needed. So this man's system can't solve nothing for us. It never has. And a black man in a white man's government is only going to be a more venomous snake to bite us. That's what Obama has shown. And everybody knows, or I'm going to go on record, I never voted for him. Okay, I voted for Cynthia McKinney the first time, and then I didn't vote at all the second time. That's right, I did not vote. Okay. I don't always vote. I mean, sometimes, you know, that's like choosing between Beelzebub and the devil. How would God look at my choice?
Oh, no, that's fine. Let me throw these out real quick before your people come. Real quick, because it's a segue into, I mean, you touched on so many things, but actually what you were speaking about was in line with some of my questions. One of my first questions, Mr. Short, was there's an unspoken threat amongst our community. And it just didn't start with what you just mentioned about the Pentecostal pastor and the money that's being paid to cover up certain perversions and activity against children. Okay, when I was growing up, I grew up in the Pentecostal church, and it was the same activity, but you know, but really it was shunned upon. But you know, it was really pushed under the rug, but everyone knew it was there. And what I want to talk about is the molestation, homosexuality, pedophilia, in every area of authority, even spiritual authority amongst our community. And we all know it exists. We always knew it exists. And I'm going to ask you, because I have an answer to that. But I'm going to ask you, bringing awareness to it is one thing, for our personal parents, for parents out there to protect their own children. Yes, we know that's the answer in-house. But what would you do? What would you put forward to begin to protect our children in these churches that are being controlled by deviants, pedophiles, and homosexuals?
You answered the question backwards.
Okay.
How does someone get to control a church being a deviant predator on children? Why is that even allowed? Let me give you an example. I lived in Boston many years ago. 25 years ago, I lived in Boston. And many people don't know that Reverend Ike used to be in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And Reverend Ike molested a child, so it is said, and the people came into the church and were shooting, and Reverend Ike jumped out the stained glass window and left the city of Boston to go to New York. I guess the Big Apple, where basically anything goes. I'm not advocating that people put their hands on people, but I am saying that when people put their hands on people like that, prayer changes things, and the wrath of God changes things. And I actually think that if the people who molested the children, if you're familiar with the film I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings,
mm-hmm.
Okay, you know it exact. That's how I feel about it. I can't say that that's law, but the average pedophile will violate up to 300 children.
Mm.
We let one person destroy 300 lives. There's a perversion in this society where the victimizer, it's based on white supremacy and racism, because they victimize so many hundreds of blacks over the course. If you punish the predator one time and you stopped him, you would basically shut his game down. So we live in a society that supports the predator, that endorses the predator. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Kinsey, Alfred Kinsey, who was a super sexual predator, at his own admission molested 347 children.
Mm.
That's what he did. He traveled the country teaching and pushing for people to reduce the sentencing for child molesters from the 1950s. In America, all those laws need to be repealed. There are a couple of things. One of the drivers of pedophilia is pornography. It needs to be outlawed, destroyed, and punished. It needs to be stopped. If you've got to be horny and freaky, do it in your home. Why does it have to be out on where everybody can see it? People don't need to see all that. It needs pedophilia and a lot of other perversion is linked to porn. It's a major addiction. It needs to be stopped. And as far as people, serial abusers need to be dealt with. If that happened, a lot of stuff would stop.
Dealt with like how?
Well, imagine, Now,
I know what the Bible says. It's cut and dry. That's why they're attacking the Bible. But, I mean, you and man
I don't
operate... Go ahead.
I don't have a problem with how the Bible deals with rapists and child molesters. There's some things in the Levitical thing I don't necessarily connect to, but they need to deal harshly with such people and stop treating it like it's cool. I want to share something with you since you're talking about pedophiles. I was on the phone this morning, with my godbrother, my prayer partner in Chicago. And we were reminiscing that 11 years ago I told him the U.S. Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, was a child molester. I was working. I had a contract to work in the Speaker of the House office. I saw him speak to one child. I almost vomited. I had to go in the room and scream, try to get myself together. And say, oh, my God, the third most powerful man in this country rapes children. And growing up in a Pentecostal church where the senior pastor was a molester, I have a fierce hatred of these people. I'm sorry. Pray for me. I hate these people. I can't help it. I hate them. Pray for me. I hate them. No one hurt me. No one hurt me, but they hurt people. And I'm done. I was done at 3 years old. Okay, I've been done. I'm 51. I've always been done. And I always tell people, when that man touched me, it felt so awful. I bit his hand with all my might. I tried to eat his hand. It took 2 people to get me off that man's hand. And he never touched me. But the person who told me to watch out for him was a man named Charles, who had been serially molested and raped in foster care, in care of the state, and he didn't want me to get raped. And this man died of AIDS. So many of these people out here who are homosexual or bisexual, they have been violated by these predators who feed on the weak. And these brothers and sisters who've lost their way, who think that they have the right to prey on, they should be preyed on by the same people in the society. This thing would suddenly stop if someone knew. People don't rob banks because it's difficult. People don't rob banks because you can get shot, you can go to jail, you could die. Ask Bonnie and Clyde. It's John Dillinger. Ask any bank robber the risk. They have reduced the risk to the molester. That boy, Laquan McDonald, shot by the police 16 times, had been molested by a family of Mexicans. Nobody's talking about it. 1 in 9 African-American children end up in foster care. The chances of them being raped or molested is magnified. We have a culture of molestation and predators, and it needs to be handled. This is the reason we have a problem in America. White people don't only feel superior to us based on color. They feel morally superior because the little drugs and filth that they do is hidden and ours is exposed. They thrive on us being depraved and debauched because it makes them feel good. I'll give you an example. Many, many years ago, maybe about 20 years ago, the city of Detroit wanted to set up an academy for black boys so they could come up right and they'd be outstanding citizens. And whites in the suburbs objected to the academy for the young men because they felt the girls were being left out. You tell me where white folks want to do something for white boys that black folks can object to anywhere on this earth. And you tell me a more needy neighborhood for black males to have some self-control, self-respect, and proper conduct than Detroit, Michigan. They enjoy seeing us down. That's why they'll give you money when you're on the ground, but won't give you a bank loan when you're a multimillionaire trying to expand your business. This is why we can't be ruled by them. It says in Hebrews, be ye not unequally yoked. Be ye separate. Touch not the unclean thing, and I'll reclaim you. We can't be under people who think men belong in the girls' room. How can you be ruled by people like this? Are you hearing me? I know I sound like a religious fanatic. I'm really not. I'm really...
Listen, I'm as fanatical... Listen, I'm as fanatical as you are. But this is what I found, and maybe you've seen this in the higher rungs of politics, operating with them. I'm glad I wasn't ever around politicians. But anyway, I noticed that when you look into Babylonian ritualistic government setups and the papacy.
Oh, yes.
One thing I recognize that pedophilia, and like a lot of these politicians are products of pedophilia, and part of their religiosity, if that's even a word, part of their religion is taking the innocence of a young boy.
Yes.
Yes. So if that's really a religion, and that's really, and when we look at the government
sacrament, it's not religion. The sacrament is violating the youth.
Exactly.
It's sacrificing the baby to kill it through an abortion, or through sexual molesting it, to pervert it, to misdirect the child, to disconnect that child from God and godliness.
Exactly. It's a Molochian sacrifice from ancient Babylon that allows something to come in before a child can actually make a conscious moral decision. And being that it's so deeply inbred, even through government and religion, and there's finances behind this. All the boys clubs, all these different nonprofit groups, even the churches are nonprofit because they allow deviants to get to their little boys. So since we understand this exists now, yes, we have to be separate, but it comes a time that we need to be as present with our disdain against this as they are with their movements. You understand? With LGBT,
I'm in complete agreement with you.
Okay.
I'm in complete agreement, and this is what I was saying to you, and I interrupted the story. I saw the Speaker of the House, and I had to beg for people, you have to let me go from work, because I can't, I have to go. And as soon as I got home, I screamed when I shut the door, and then I called Reverend C.T. Vivian, the man who got the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Obama a few years back. I called him and another gentleman, and I told them the Speaker of the House is a pedophile, child molester. He says, never speak to me again if it doesn't come to pass. I'm right. I got it. I've seen him, and it may take me 10 years. It may take 10 years for it to come out, but I know it's right. He's a child molester. I know he is. And I said, watch. And then like a year or so later, the congressman from Florida got busted for messing with the kids. And I called the two men back and said, watch Hastert step down. In 72 hours, he'll be gone. He's leaving because he's got to go. And if you go and look up Congressman Foley from Florida, you'll look and see within so many hours of him being exposed, Hastert submitted his letter of intent to resign as Speaker of the House. Now, let me tell you something. I was at his office on the 5th of May, 2005. When did Hastert get busted in the press? May 2015, 10 years. Okay? So, that's how that is. That's how that is. But, brother, we have to stand against them, and we're going to have to handle that. Now you'll see on the Internet, you'll see videos of people who are catching molesters and beating them senseless. And it's going to take... yes, of course it's good. I post them all over my wall in Facebook. Whenever someone beats up, these people have to be shut down. They have to be shut down, and they deserve what they get. My closest cousin was molested by his uncle, who died last year. My cousin died in 91 from AIDS.
Sorry to hear that.
This is close in. I hate it, okay? I didn't hate my uncle. He's the only one like that I don't hate. But that's whenever I see him, that's the first thing on my mind. I absolutely am opposed to it. And people need to deal with this. And not just the men, a lot of women out here. I was a big brother when I was a student in divinity school. And I was watching a boy named Kevin. And his mother and his aunt were raping this boy. All these black boys, Usher, Ike Turner, Chris Brown, a lot of these young, as youngsters, these are men that have been raped by women. So we need to equally apply that, because this idea that molesters are only males is. And I believe in equality. If women are wrong, they need to be dealt with like they're wrong.
Exactly.
The man's wrong with him like he's wrong. I'm an equalitarian. Treat women with respect, pay them the same. As long as it's not putting them out of character of their gender, they should have it. That's how I am. I'm that way with anybody in their face and behind their back. And at the same time, if a woman molests a child, she needs to be dealt with. We have to stop. And it stops when some of us say we don't care who does it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we need a conversation offline to talk about some ideas that we can, we can operate with, even though we're not all part of the same organizations. But there is some mutual thought. There's some mutual understanding of what we need to do together to protect our own to some degree. But we're going to be talking about that. Now let's roll over, because winding down, only a few more moments. We're winding down to the latest sideshow called the election.
I hope I answered your question.
You did answer, but you did answer, but there's only so much we can put out there.
Yes.
Concerning the real answer for this, but we can talk about it offline, and we'll discuss this. But I wanted to put it out there, not just for you, Randy, but just to get the, just to get that out there amongst the people, so that they can start thinking about it.
I'm past tired. I talk to a lot of people who call themselves LGBTQ, and the lion's share of the people that are in that, from what I can see, have been the victims of molestation. So I have a hard time saying, oh, I'm going to be so mean and hateful to them. Like the singer Sylvester. The singer Sylvester was raped by the organist in his Church of God in Christ Church. Nothing ever happened to the organist. And, I mean, that's absolutely horrible that a boy, the mother takes the boy to the church for sanctuary, and they get violated in church. Huh?
Donnie McCoy was talking about it.
Yeah, this has to stop. And the only thing I'm going to say to you, when I was 4 years old, I prevented the pastor of the church I went to from raping another boy when I was 4. And I'm 51 now. I don't like this a long time. Okay, I don't know if you know many people that block folk from doing stuff when they were 4. I was trying. And I did prevent it.
Lord. Oh, Lord.
So it's got to stop. You know what? God hates it. It says right there in the scripture, if you do anything to his little ones, it would be like putting a millstone in your neck and jumping in the water. Right? Well, if God felt that you should be drowned with something on your neck, not that I'm saying do it to anyone, but if I take that as the word of God, there's not a very merciful line of scripture to defend this stuff. It comes across as real straightforward. Hurt the kids, and God or his people hurt you. I know I'm right. And Ashe.
Yeah.
Selah.
Well, it has something to do with us too, because I'm looking at who's the guy, that pastor that raped those boys and was sending pictures and selfies to these guys in Atlanta.
About Eddie Longstroke.
Eddie Longstroke. And on top of that, he was then restored by this Jewish guy who rapped him with the Torah. May they throw that thing in the trash after they desecrated the Torah. But what I'm saying is, look how much support this guy received from the congregation after outward proof, just right out proof that this guy was a predator. So something is not just wrong with the pastors. Something is wrong with our people who feel a loyalty to that pastor opposed to these victims, these children. Something is wrong with these congregations.
Well, it says, as the people, so are the priests, right? When the people go astray, the priests stray. Although this man's bankrupt. First of all, I've never heard of a Baptist bishop before. What is that? That's like a reusable condom. There's no such thing. Huh? That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's ridiculous. People knew he was like that a long time ago. I mean, people knew that. And he co-pastored with another pastor who was just like him, but they're not carrying it like he does. For another church, a big church called Victory, that pastor is same-sex engaged. It's one thing. I have love for brothers. I have love for you. I have love for my brother that passed a year ago. I have love for my friends. But I don't like their private parts. They're men. We're men. That's the other problem we have in our culture. It's a real big problem, because if you raise people up without dads, without uncles, without grandfathers, without that, you have them in a society that enshrines male-on-male violence and hatred for black men. A lot of folks opt into this gay thing as a means to have some sort of peace amongst brothers. And if you look at it, this is what's being presented to people. You can either shoot each other or you can hump each other. Why can't there be something else? And I've asked people, I ask all kinds of people, why can't you, why does it require sodomy for you to like the next person? Who cares if it's a hug or kiss, provided you don't think that you kissing Beyonce? And she looked much better than Jay-Z. Who want him? I don't know. I can't believe she want him. I mean, I'd be making videos too if I took that home when I was a woman. But anyway, just what I'm saying is that we need the kind of community compassion with rules, ethics, values, and serious punishments. If you break it, you're in trouble. And I think this will save us. We've got to have that. We've got to. If we don't have it, I always say to people, you can't conquer a people with strong morals. You can only misrule them for so long. But a people with no morals, you can misrule, oppress, and even exterminate. And they wouldn't even know it's happening. If you don't know the difference between what is right and wrong, then how do you know the difference between racism and justice? If you don't know the difference between right and wrong, what's the difference between sodomy or heterosexual monogamy? It's all relative, right? It says an unstable man is unstable in all his ways. I mean, we have to have that kind of compass, and they've deliberately broken it. They don't want that. Marvin Gaye, I learned recently Marvin Gaye's like a cousin of mine. Marvin Gaye's parents were my grandparents' friends. Marvin Gaye's favorite brother was my father's buddy and my father's Bible study group. They used to have Bible study in public schools, and a lot of people went. And they attacked that stuff. You can't have that. And you mentioned this Jewish guy. You mean the Khazars. These people follow the Talmud. These people, they're in the Kabbalah. They're the Pharisees, the Sadducees. They're the They say the Christ killers. So the Talmud says we did them. Okay? They say so. I'm not being anti-Semitic, repeating what they say. The Sanhedrin bumped off Christ. They said they did it. Okay?
The Antichrist, of course.
Someone's going to listen to that, and they're going to say, oh, he hates. And I'll tell anyone, I've got Khazarian roots on both sides of my family. So I always let them know I'm the same thing as you, except I'm a good one because I got some color. and I have the Messiah. I know who the Messiah is. You don't. You don't want him.
Okay.
The people in the Kabbalah are following. You know, they're following the enemy. Let's be honest. What defines what is a Khazarian believer is usually the denial of Christ. And if you like Christ, you're anti-Christ, whether I like it or not. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm not angry, but, you know, I've got to be real with what I believe. Either you claim Christ or you deny him. Right?
Yeah, right.
I know I sound so militant and intolerant.
Well,
I'm out burning crosses, persecuting people. I know.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
I tell you, Christ was known in Roman literature as a starch revolutionist that needed to be stopped. Now that's in Roman canon. But real quick, I know you have to go, so I just want to roll over there because I would be amiss without mentioning the fact that we're winding down to the latest sideshow, called the elections. Let's now reflect just a little bit on Obama's tenure as president. Okay? Speaking to most black people for the last 8 years, they will say that this Obama becoming president was a success for our people, strictly not because what he did for us, but the fact that a black man made it to the presidency. What's your answer to that?
Well, you know, would you call a man that was able to assassinate the President of the United States a success? If he were black? Would the definition change? The reason I'm saying that is Obama, twice the gay, half the black. I mean, I can't point to anything he's done for us. All I can point to is ruins. As
Not
I'm
one
speaking
thing. One thing that he did for black people.
False pride, if you're going to count that. If you want false pride, I'll let you have it. Okay, false pride, you have it. He made us feel like we had gone somewhere. But that's like you and I talked about going to a vegetarian cafe that's 3 miles away, and I drive around the block 2 or 3 times, and you fall asleep, and I put some food in that's from someplace else, and you eat it, and you think you went there. Did you really go? What did we get from him? We have record home foreclosures. We've lost $1 trillion in wealth. Our schools are closing. The police have murdered at least 10,000 black people since he's been in office. It's about that many. The reason I'm saying that is a Manchester Guardian estimated that they killed over something like 4,000 so odd many Americans in prison every year, assuming about half of them are black, right? Or let's say that a quarter of them are black. 1,000 times 8 will be 8,000. And how many do the cops kill per year? The number that they find is, 300-400, which is too low. So they're saying so it's about 300 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 plus 8 is 10,400. And you know it's more. We know it's more.
That's
all
nice.
These black folks killed. Libya, Haiti, the blacks being martyred in the Dominican Republic, the blacks being destroyed in West Papua, the Boko Haram murdering Christians and Muslims alike in Nigeria. Detroit, he's let be destroyed. He did nothing for New Orleans. He continued what Bush had and then cut it off. In other words, Bush did more for New Orleans than Obama did. Obama initially cut the extra money that Bush put in the budget for black colleges. He cut off 4 years, basically $500 million, roughly between $300 to $500 million got removed from very vulnerable black institutions. He spent no money with black advertisers in his 2 elections. There's nothing you can point to other than the fact that he's not white. Now, I'm saying that to you because we haven't done the DNA, but there's a strong possibility, by the way, that Obama and I are cousins, okay? Just to show you how jacked up the world is. No, I'm not. I'm just, look, my mother's name is Lancaster. The Lancasters come from Liverpool. Lancasters are the last Catholic dynasty in England. Okay. If you were to see pictures of my great-great-grandparents, they look exactly like Charles and these people, Fergie. They do. I don't know where my mother put the pictures, but that's what they look like. So when you see me dark, it's because the people in my family got tired of looking like white people. In fact, if you go to the 1920 census and look up my family, you'll find that my mother's family was classified as Spanish. My grandfather was counted as Spanish in the 1920 census, not as black. Okay. Not that I'm proud of that. Let me saying to you that my folks, and the reason that they said Spanish is because the people at some point came from the Dominican Republic here, okay? Because the Lancasters were slave traders and this, that, and the other, and the Lancasters are all connected to the Catholic Church being established. What I'm trying to say to you, the Lancasters come from the same king that Obama has a relationship to, meaning that if my family is who I think my family is, we're cousins. And it means every single solitary president except for Martin Van Buren is a cousin to me and Obama. Okay?
And you mean on your mother's side, from his mother's side?
My mother's side. My father's side, these folks are too black, too strong. We got Nat Turner and Elijah Muhammad. We got the angry people on Dad's side. I got the white folks and the Indians on Mom's side. I'm sorry. But the point I'm making, what's his name? Warren G. Harding knew he was black, okay? Jacqueline Onassis knew she was black, even if she lied about it. They confronted her in the White House when she was in the office in 1960. Hey, excuse me, but, you know, your father's grandfather was black. In fact, the nickname for Jacqueline Onassis' father was Black Jack. They knew what he was. We've had black people in the White House that didn't do anything for us. And what I'm mentioning to you is Warren G. Harding, who knew he was part black, got inducted into the Ku Klux Klan while in the White House, knowing damn well he's not a white man. So we've already had people that were black that could diss us. However, one thing I'll give who I believe my cousin was, went down to Alabama about 1923 and told the white people off and said, y'all have to stop messing over black people. Black people got to get their share of everything or this country's never going to get anywhere. He was dead within months. He decided, you know, I think he went down and got angry. It's like Clark Gable. Did you know Clark Gable was black?
No, I didn't know that.
I mean, did you know Clark Gable threatened to walk off a Gone in the Wind set because they had segregated restrooms, and wherever he worked, he said, you can't have Jim Crow or you don't have Clark Gable. If you want me, don't mess over black people, I'm out of here. And so Gone with the Wind, the highest grossing film of all times, almost didn't get made over Jim Crow restrooms.
Didn't know that.
Well, if Clark Gable in 1939 can take a stand for black folks, where he would have lost his career, why would I expect less of Obama now? And I'm thinking of other people like Carol Channing, another Negro in Broadway, who would do stuff for black folks, stand up and say, you know, I'm just not going to take this. Another person who I think is part Negro, I haven't found out more, it's Marilyn Monroe. And she fought for, what's her name, for Ella Fitzgerald to get decent pay. I mean, we're talking about people who could just say, we white, we don't care. Or could just be white but cared. Obama's risked nothing for our people. He didn't want to. And Michelle Obama got paid several $100,000 a year. Several $100,000 a year to keep black people from getting medical care that didn't have insurance. That's how she got that big salary. I'm not mad at Michelle, but if a white person, if Hillary had had that job and folk had bled to death in the parking lot or bled to death going to another hospital, black folks' jaws would be tight. See, God, it says in Proverbs, God hates unequal measures. Why an unequal measure for Obama? Why, if George Bush would give black schools money, he's the devil because he's white, yet Obama would take the money away with no one telling him to do it? He's God. We're confused. I don't care what you look like. David, no matter what he thought of Uriah being a Hittite, the Hittite was righteous. It was David, the apple of God's eyes, who was wicked because he wanted Bathsheba. Right? So it doesn't matter if you're in a different ethnic group. If you're right, you're right. You'll do what's right. If you're wicked, or if you know what's right and don't do it, you're wicked. Obama knew what to do and did not do it. It says in the scripture, if a man doesn't do something that he knows to be right, it is sin. If you know they're stealing our homes, if you know they're murdering our kids, if you know the water in Flint, after 9,000 children are poisoned, you drink a glass of water, you want us to think that it had lead and then Legionnaire's disease bacteria in it. Come on now. If he had gotten sick, whoever gave him that glass of water would have been fired. Why do you give money to the racist governor who hates black people? Why do you give him the money? What about the 2 or 3 people that have been murdered in Flint who've been crying out for justice for water, the water contamination? How come there hasn't been an investigation? Huh? Why not? And forgive me, that boy, Laquan McDonald, the boy that had been raped by the Mexicans and then by his own black uncle. How come, you tell me, that the FBI, who had, at that point, Loretta Lynch, Obama's appointee, that she couldn't have looked into what was going on in Chicago? Huh? And we can go on and on with the murders. How come when the United Nations African-descended research group that toured the country, how come Obama didn't announce it or welcome them? By the way, he just did a little better than Bill Clinton, because there's a guy named Doudou Diéné from Senegal who was looking at human rights violations against African Americans, and Clinton told him to get out of the country. You better get out before we throw you out. Yes, Bill Clinton expelled someone who came here to see about us. Well, Obama let them in, but they gave no real attention, and a majority of the people that got to the meetings, and a lot of places, were pushing the gay agenda. Obama's also hurt us because he's given money, at least $7 million, to Black Lives Matter, which is a homosexual front group funded by the Koch brothers, funded by George Soros, a very odd Jewish billionaire alleged to fund pedophile organizations. Oh, yes. This is who you give money to? Huh? He doubled the amount of money on the head of Assata Shakur. And let me bring it home. My congressman and my former pastor, the Honorable Walter Fauntroy, who's currently missing in the Middle East, his brother called me Sunday saying he doesn't know where his brother is. A man who marched with Dr. King, a man who fought against apartheid, a man who fought for D.C. statehood, a man that fought for black people to have the right to vote, a man that walked with all of our leadership for decades, and he's missing. Why didn't Obama go find him? This man got, from what I understand, as much as $50 million for Obama's election. That's a large amount of money. If someone brought that to you, wouldn't you be concerned where they are? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, of course.
All right. All those kids who died in Chicago, many of them are shot within a mile of Mr. Obama's home in Hyde Park. Huh? Why does he do something special for Chicago? Didn't they vote for him to be senator? Didn't they help him make it to the White House? What about the black woman who helped build up Obama and he stabbed her in the back? What about Emil in Chicago, a brother named Emil? I'm forgetting his last name. Emil Jones, this black Illinois Senate leader who raised up Obama. What about Farrakhan? What about people who raised up this man? What has he done for them? You tell me, you show me somebody other than when they're gay. The basketball player, every time someone comes out and say they're gay, he gives them a personal phone call. He called them faster than he did anything for Flint or Trayvon Martin. Huh? I mean, the Bible says wherever the heart is, there you'll also find the treasury. Well, his heart be in gayness. And I call him, sometimes his nickname is Ofaga. That's how I said it. And I always say to people, I went to Harvard same time as him, ran across him once. I always remind people, he was telling folks how much he didn't like black activists. Okay? That's what he said. And I looked him straight in the face, and he made a joke about me. This real talk. This actually happened in 1988. And I left the room, left that area, and I called my best friend in Oakland, California. I can give you the phone number, and he'll verify it. I said, this is biracial, bisexual at the law school. He's going to be president and screw black people. People that know. Yeah. I can give you. I can give. I can give you. I can. I can.
Hold up now. You knew he was going to be president back then.
He was lying so much, and the law school student union called the Harkness Commons. Look, I've done a little bit with politics, a little bit. I've been going to political meetings since I was 9 years old, watching people lie. The way he was lying is as if someone had trained him to lie to white folk. I walked out of the Harkness Commons, which is a student union for the Harvard University Law School, and I saw some black guys and said, who's the mulatto in there? He's got a future ahead of him. I mean, he can lie. Damn, he can lie. And they said, that's Obama. And if you know anything, I talk to Obama's class, no good, conniving, jive, sellout black person. And I said, Obama? Whew, he sure is Obama. I said, he's going to go all the way, stabbing us in the back and walking over us to get there. Got home, called my friend, said, there's this dude. And then when I was riding home from Massachusetts, I told my godbrother, the same one that's a trash man, and I told him there's a biracial gay dude at the law school who's going to dog us. You'll see. His name's Obama something. I forgot his name. Do you know I didn't see his name again for years? Hold on. Hold 1 second.
Guys, are you hearing this?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell you what. It may be a catastrophe that comes up that keep him in office, or he just may take his seat that he had with the UN after this. But all in all, it's he was primed at a young age to be the man at the very end, as we can see. He's the only president that actually has a seat, a dual seat. One is president of the United States and a seat on the UN. So it seems as if this is coming around where he's being propped for that top position at the end. And this is deep that he's bringing this out, that, you know, that he's seen this coming. I can't wait till we get back on, because I got a few other things to ask him, because I noticed that all the executive orders that has been signed, if something happens big before the elections, who knows? All these executive orders, I mean, the government may forego the elections if something happens big, and I think some of that is in the air right now. So we have everyone looking at Hillary. We know Hillary's track record. We know that Trump is really a joke that was put in place so that, you know, the meter could be tilted Hillary's way. But all in all, based on everything I'm seeing, who knows? Maybe Obama stays. So he put us on hold for one moment. So let's give him a moment. What do you think so far, Gotcha? In the midst of this, me and you are you back, Randy?
That was Brother Larry Pinkney. He was a brother that was a political prisoner for 10 years, and he's the only man that successfully sued the U.S. government through the UN. And when he calls, pray for him. His significant other's father is in real bad shape in the hospital. So forgive me for putting you on pause. But back to Fawn Troy and Obama. Brother, I'm not trying to say anything or be anything to you. I can only be who I am. But some people claim that I have a prophetic ability. Many people say it, okay, and they say it, and I have folk call me all the time to ask me what I see for them and tell them I'm not a crystal ball, but if something comes to me, I'll tell you. But God has all the answers. I don't believe in that divination and palmistry and all that stuff. That's satanic. However, you have dreams, you have visions, you see things. And
yeah. Well, you was right on with this one. I'll tell you that.
Well, I've been on with, as I said, on with Hastert and lots of other things. In fact, brother, I told someone 10 years prior to it happening that St. Louis was going to be the epicenter of black folks' activism and resistance in America. I did it twice. So people that know me call me and ask me what I think. And just as sure as there's a brother I want y'all to meet who's Somali, and I called him to tell him to talk to his son in St. Paul, Minneapolis. I told him his son was going to have a problem with the police, and he disagreed with me. And I said, brother, have I ever called and said anything bad about your family or any of your children? He says, no. I says, do you really think I would, as much as I like you, I'd call you and give you something bad because I would do it? Anyway, he dismissed it. In April last year, his son was shot multiple times and beaten by the police. When a news flash came up, I wrote out on Facebook, when they say a suspicious person has been shot, what they mean is an innocent Somali. About 6-7 hours later, the father wrote me from Kenya and said, had I heard? And I said, you mean your son getting shot at the airport? And he said, who told you? I says, no, I told you in February to talk to that boy. I told you. And I says, now the next thing I need you to do, you need to give me your other son's number because he has a Jewish lawyer that's trying to mess him up. And he says, how do you know? I says, do you want to find out again or give me the number? And I talked to the attorney.
You don't need too much intuition to know that's about to happen. But
you don't need too much, but sometimes you get good ones. I've met very decent. So I called, and the guy was lying. He denied that the man had been shot. When that was published, when the spokesperson for the police said he had been shot. Anyway, the man got released. He's decided to plead guilty to a lesser charge. He's lost an eye.
Oh.
Okay. And so I go through this. I have another brother from Mauritania. I had a dream, and I called him up and warned him about his Jewish lawyer, and told him he was facing deportation proceedings. And he said, who told you? I said, I just dreamt it up. Let me tell you the outcome if you don't get rid of the Jewish lawyer. He's going to abandon you 2 weeks before trial. You have poor English skills, and you're going to have your asylum revoked. He dismissed it. I asked for his lawyer's number, called his lawyer, told his lawyer I work for Amnesty International. I can write an amicus brief or have one written that would more or less guarantee your client his asylum would be secured. He told me he was at Disney World with his family and he didn't need my help. He called my friend from Mauritania back and says, this guy is going to betray you. 2 weeks before trial. I'm sorry you didn't want to hear me. 2 weeks before trial, his lawyer disappeared. He's the first person in the history of the state of New York to have political asylum revoked. When I call him nowadays, he calls me right back, not trying to get my way.
Yeah, I think it was
it's not about me. This gift isn't for me to go and pick lotto tickets and stuff like that. It's about being able to warn people. We're supposed to, as believers, warn people. So you warn someone. You let them know, hey, this is what's going to be. You following what I'm saying?
Randy, on that real quick, because I don't want to lose the time. We don't want to lose you now. Real quick, right on that, where you are, there's a sentiment out there that something might happen before the elections with all the executive orders being signed by Obama.
Yes.
That if something happens, maybe the government will forego the elections and keep him in office. Or either or. If something don't happen, which we know something is coming down the pipeline very soon, with all the terrorist things they're putting out there, along with whether or not the dollar will survive, a collapse of the finances. Even if he's moved out of the way, he has a dual position. He has a position as the President of the United States and on the UN. He's on the UN panels there. So, not giving me your feeling about this. I don't want your feeling. Where do you think? Now I know what the scriptures say concerning all of this. Once something happens, because we're really in that time of Jubilee, in which the mark of the beast will soon be revealed. We only got a few more years before they cut off the money and have a cashless society. It's been a long time since a president stayed in position due to war. But all these executive orders, I mean, he signed more executive orders than any president in the history of the United States. So if any of these things happen within the next few months, we feel that there's a good chance he stay. And it seems like the powers that be love him in this position, because most things that they would like to get implemented through Obama's position. What is your take on what is your take on that?
I want to give a sidebar before I answer it. All those executive orders, some of those could have been written to help black people sidestepping Congress and governors, and he hasn't done one. He's done more than anybody, as you said. Name one he did to help black folks specifically.
I can't.
Exactly. So I say that to Coons here. If that's something he could have done, he could have cut funding to any police department that didn't keep statistics and didn't have racial sensitivity training. No, it doesn't take. He has no love for us. Never wanted any.
Well, I can say he did one for us. Is the one I would mention is the one he did for the debt internment camps for those who are in debt. They would have to actually be arrested and go into internment for continuing employment until
that came because of the United Nations attack that, as well as the juvenile detention. It is international pressure. When I say he did, it's in his heart. For example, brother, there are a lot of people that come to me for help. If I had it, I would just give it. There's a brother in Ghana I met over the internet. He was in trouble. I paid for him to go to school. I had it. I didn't ask for anything. He's a good brother. He's now doing well, just got married. I wanted it for him, and I had the means to help him, and I did it. Okay? If someone came and says, man, no, that's not from my heart. Huh? Okay. It's out of attrition. He did something. I don't buy that. I always give the analogy of a person that wipes their behind now and then, so you can't say they never wipe it. That's what black leaders do. That's enough. So the people who are telling the truth are discredited by the little bit I do, so I can't be just dismissed as totally no good. And it says, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Our leadership always lets you know what both hands are doing, so it can appear as if they're doing something to help us. And if they were, why are we in the conditions that we're in? Now, back to Obama staying. If Obama stays, we will have some white folk take up some kind of armed resistance to this because their world's already rocked. I mean, the only thing Obama needs to do now is throw Michelle and the girls out and move in Caitlyn Jenner. Bring him in the house. That's something he needs to do. Try something like that. And I think the people may rise up and revolt. They've been provoked enough that they can't take anymore. Okay? But if he stays, you're going to see resistance. Resistance like we ain't never seen. And white folk, nobody's more violent and cruel than white people who feel something's been taken from them. This is just, I don't even know how to handle what happened if white folk felt that they weren't getting their way. I mean, right now they feel like black people are oppressing and enslaving them. With Obama doing everything they want in the White House, they feel oppressed. So imagine if he stays over and they voted for Trump or for Hillary or for Bernie. They're not going to go for that. There are too many of them with guns, too many of them pissed off, too many of them that just out and out hate all black people, even black folks, licking the crust from between their toes, they hate them. So how are you going to like a black person violating your so-called Anglo-American constitutional values? I just don't think they'll go for it. Now, the next piece. I could see Trump being George Wallace 2.0. Okay, he was the first one to get Secret Service protection. And he's big enough. He's such a fat target. You can hit him a mile away with the BB gun. So, he knows that folk would like to whack him. I think Hillary has so much dirt on her. If she gets in, she'll be the first female president that gets indicted. Or she'll have to have people bumped off to keep herself in there, which is going to create problems. It's a mess no matter what it is. What I suspect the best alternative for stability for certain people is for Trump to win and be bought off so he doesn't raise as much hell as he says he's going to do. And they put a vice president under him so they can JFK him later. Somebody loyal to the Bushes. Oh, yeah, that's what I think. They're going to get him because, and that's where they would shut him down. Just, pop him, get him in a way that that the people can't get upset about. Because you understand when Trump is pushing for the exposure of the 28 pages of the 9/11 report that will implicate the same people who were in the banker scandal of 1932, where the Bushes, George W. Bush's grandfather, was part of a coup plot against Franklin Delano Roosevelt called the bankers plot, or the bankers coup. And that got shut down by Roosevelt because one of the military officers, whose name is escaping me, it'll come to me in a minute, but a very famous, highly decorated military officer refused to be a part of destroying the country. And so these same neo-Nazi type people are the power behind the throne. Now, what Trump's trying to do by exposing those pages would really create a real problem in this country. So if he exposes it and you let people know, like my father was the lead chaplain providing spiritual nurture to people during the Pentagon fire or bombing or whatever it was, a plane crash. I didn't see any plane, but that's what they said, okay. Anyway, my father got all sorts of strange cancers. There are lots of people who get this thing called VCF. It's called the Victim Compensation Fund. There are thousands of people who have died as a result of 9/11, being exposed to the unsafe materials that were radioactive or whatever, weird cancers. I have a document. It's about 40 pages long, and they have page after page of things that happen to people as a result of being exposed to the the World Trade Center dust and moving it. We're talking about people who are on the barge that move the material away from the World Trade Center site, Ground Zero, have developed all sorts of cancers and died. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, so imagine if you tell all these people that Mossad and the Bushes and the others did your family members. They're not like black folks who are hoping for some government money, so they're going to call it forgiveness. In reality, they ain't looking for that big check. White folk killing your family members is like Powerball for them. White folk going to be mad. They're going to want the money, and they're going to want revenge. I like the way white folks are balanced. Black people just want one thing. Well, we'll be able to buy that extension, and we'll be able to put some new rims on the car. I'm sorry they had to come this long. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I love my people, but God save them. So I think that 9/11 thing will be so explosive. You might find some folks just want to go out and hurt some people. I grew up in a trailer park with really, really, really angry white people. I mean, everything makes them. Everything. Good times. Black people being on television made them mad, even though it's a comedy show. They can't even be happy about that. So you mean to tell me you burnt up or bombed up somebody's only son? The only way that they know how to handle stuff is go out and get some sort of weapon and hurt somebody. That's how they cope. You tell them all these people got killed, and then the wars you had in Iraq, and the people that had the depleted uranium exposure, and the people that are sterilized, the people that are crazy, and the people that committed suicide, and the families ruined, all of this over a lie. You're talking about millions of people whose lives have been destroyed or ruined or impacted. It's not going to be cool. They're not going to be able to handle it. Come on. White people, they can't handle that. They can't handle being betrayed and being treated like that. They're not tolerant of being shown that they've been made fools of. They're not like black folk. So if Trump gets in and he does that 9/11 stuff, you're going to have a mess. If Hillary gets in and people hate her and she continues to push this crazy sexual agenda and other things that she's going to do with her crooked husband and crooked associates, and people like Putin, who can't stand Hillary, he claims that he has her dirt, that they have hundreds of thousands of emails with Hillary's stuff on it that they can release. The Russians claim to have satellite photos proving that 9/11 wasn't destroyed by a plane. What if Putin, who can't stand Hillary, drops it? So whatever comes, remember it says that God's going to lift up the skirt of unrighteousness, and we're going to look at that thing, and we're going to see what Mrs. Frankenstein has under that dress. And it's not going to be pretty. So whoever gets in, you're going to see a revolt against this present order, that it's going to be shook somehow. The fact that the have upset them in Syria. The House of Saud is close to collapsing. Even Israel is stressed out. They're so broke, if you saw, they just came over and demanded $50 billion more. I mean, something's got to break here. I don't know what it is. I wish I could tell you what it was. If I see it, I'll call Azariah. Say, Azariah, you asked me and I didn't have an answer. But one thing I am going to tell you that I foresee as a possible problem in the future, and everybody else knows it: food and water.
Absolutely.
Food and water are going to be very serious problems. Like here in Washington, they want to cut back the amount of money that they give to poor families, which means 13,000 children are going to lose funding, some of their funding to eat, with the food prices going sky high. Across the country, the Republicans and the others, those cuts going to affect this year to reduce the amount of nutritional aid given to families. They're cutting SSI. If the Republicans come in and win a major, major victory, they're going to slash every single solitary thing that they can. And they're going to slash white folks. Now, one other group of people you have to watch, it's a wild card in America, and that's the millions and millions of immigrants. If Donald Trump wins, you will see violence between white people and Spanish-speaking people for the first time in a very serious way.
Hold up now, Mr. Dr. Short. You know that through this thing that just happened in Syria, I don't know if you heard about this, 10,000 quote-unquote what they call Syrian immigrants are now being refuged in Detroit. Did you know about that?
Yes, they've been doing this and all sorts of, they want to put them in Baltimore too.
So now we know why they allowed Detroit to get ran down so it would make room for these people they're calling Syrian refugees. But really, these are the same people that were operating overseas to destabilize the Middle Eastern governments. So something is about to blow there. You got an army of 10,000 right there in Detroit waiting. And I think it behooves everyone in the United States to understand what's going on there. And I looked at this news and I'm like, this is
they wanted to put 20,000 in Baltimore.
So you see what this is.
But they're moving them into St. Louis. The only problem that you have, brother, is the CIA and these other people are Keystone cops, supposedly with academic degrees. Their things always fail. They always fail. Short term, it's sort of like a cake that you kick the oven and it looks good until you kick the oven and it falls.
I can't say that they're failing. Their plan is right on, based on what we read in scriptures. 90% of the population is going to get dealt with uncomely there. My suggestion, not my suggestion, what the scriptures say that I would put out there, and just because you've been a consistent guest on our show, bringing us some insight on what's going on and showing your speaking truth against what's wrong. What I would say is, look at that Isaiah the 11th chapter. Look at all those areas the scriptures say that our people will be gathered out of at the very end, and look to be in one of those places very soon. And I'm putting that out to you, Mr. Short.
Well, look, I don't want to be here. Look, let me tell you something. I was outside the World Vision office with Dick Gregory, and Dick Gregory said something. And normally I don't quote people. Normally I like my own quotes because they priceless, if I must say. And Dick Gregory said something. I said he's 100% right. What Dick Gregory said is, if God doesn't destroy America, he owes Sodom and Gomorrah an apology. And when I was in Canada, talking to a group of Muslim students, I told them the Bible says you have to reap what you sow. If you sown genocide, slavery, abuse, rape, disrespect to women, filth, ecological degradation, you must reap it. It must happen to you. And that's what I said to white folks. I ain't going to do it to you. I don't have a desire to hurt people. Even folks who piss me off, I don't have a desire necessarily to do something back to them. But you must reap what you sow. It also says that God straws where he hasn't strawn. If they think that you can do all this stuff, ruin Libya, do this stuff to people in Haiti. Did you hear they cut the minimum wage in Haiti by 50%? From 60 to 30 cents? I mean, how are they going to make it? You do all this stuff that someone's not going to do it to you?
And so I always say to people, arrogant folk, in particular racists or folks who think their white privilege is, like a golden parachute with platinum threads in it, I said, look, there are two things. There's a law of God. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. As all you must reap what you sow. And it says a man that says there's no God is a fool. And that means a society that denies God is a foolish, wayward society. Okay? That's one, that's God. And then there's gravity. What goes up must come down. Mm-hmm. So they must come down. I told him, and I said to the gentleman, excuse me, sir, I don't want to be standing next to you when it falls on your head. Okay? When it was riding high, you wouldn't let me have none. Why should I sit here and suffer with you when it comes to you? In fact, I want to get one of those nice stretch-out picnic seats and watch. And get me a hoagie combo.
All right. Okay.
My folks have come and got me, but I want to say this to you. I'm looking more at some prophecy, and it's really interesting things. These things they look like it's in the Bible. And, for a minute there, it looked like none of that stuff there was ever really going to happen. And then what happened? Bush came in. And then the Bible looks very credible. In fact, a lot of people that are smoking marijuana could probably appreciate the revelations more. Let's sit down and take the time to read it. Not that marijuana helps you understand, but some folks who need their imagination enhanced could see it. Some folks only do stuff under the influence. There'll be a whole bunch of people who need to be reading the apocryphal books in the Bible. They might get something out of it. If it's the music high, they should be Bible high. A whole lot of people turned around. Malcolm X is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, if I say, brothers, I thank you for the chance to talk to you. And don't look at my heart or head if I say I have to go because these sisters are now racing me to Baltimore or wherever we're going. And I'm cramping this down. I got their radio off. They can't even eat because they don't want to sound like they're not the wonderful ladies that they are. But these are just two very good sisters. By the way, you have got to one of these days have this sister, in particular, Sister Deborah Hall, on your program.
Let me write her name down. Deborah Hall, okay.
This woman is an expert. If folks want to save some money so they'll have the ability to get up out of here when it's time.
Okay.
I question, I just call her. And like I said, I'm not into sexism. If you're smart, you're smart. I don't care what God gave you to procreate with. If you got some knowledge, please give. In fact, if you having a different set of things, gives you a different set of lenses, see something I can't, all the merrier.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll call you off offline, get Deborah Hall's number, and hopefully we can have her giving us some advice, some fiscal advice next week.
She also works with the group that has a farm in the D.C. area. So if people want to support black farmers and work with and be in a co-op, I just try to surround myself with people who mean it. These are just good sisters, good people. But Deborah Hall, and you know me, if they're not good, I'm not going to say it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad you mentioned her, because that's what this is all about. That's what this radio station is about. We have to come together and support each other and teach each other. Humble ourselves to each other. So, we're there. Well, Randy, go. You enjoy the rest of your night, and you dropped a lot of bombs tonight. Okay, so
I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna need y'all to pray for me because folks are gonna. Oh my God, he's a religious fundamentalist. They didn't know.
Okay, I'll tell you what. But you in our prayers, and we're gonna let you go because I know you have company. But we're gonna say Godspeed to you. May the Most High be with you. May a higher Bashim Yeshaya Rawchaa bless you. Until we talk again, and I'm going to call you offline so that we can talk to Deborah.
Okay. Let me tell you, there's a new group of people God blessed me to meet. They're something. Anyway, let me let you go. God bless all of you in your audience. And by the way, yeah, we got to talk about this pedophile thing. There's a sister. Oh, I got to introduce you to one more. Dr. Nisa Chappelle.
Let me get her name, Doctor. Dr. Nisa
Chappelle. Like Dave Chappelle, but then I think they might be related. She's an expert on sexual slavery, and these pedophiles not only turn out children, but sell them as slaves. And this is a big thing, and it's happening by girls. She's an expert on it, and the folks try to keep, when we get a righteous black woman that doesn't have a weave on, that doesn't want to be with the white man, we don't want to listen to her. It makes me so angry.
Well, guess what? We want to listen to her. So we need her on the show. We need her on the show.
All right. You got it. God bless you. I'm going to let y'all go.
Okay, bless you. You be careful out there now.
I will. Bye-bye.
All right, bless you.
All right, everyone. That was Dr. Randy Short with us here. A lot of things said. You with me? I'm here. Like you said, a lot of bombs dropped. But before we dissect that, let's go to a commercial break, and we'll speak to the listeners. I'm sure the listeners here have a lot to say as well. As the call queue here is lit up. So let me just give the number out again. It's 646-200-4309. That is 646-200-4309. I will speak to you right after this quick break.
Shalom, brothers and sisters at GOCC. This is Pastor Truman Burst, Master Herbalist, for over 50 years, helping all GOCC members, always at no charge, answering your questions about natural remedies and health. We're getting great results. Give us a call at 541-981-2520. 541-981-2520. Email Truman@healthherbs.com. TRUMAN@HEALTHHERBS.com. Skype is Master Herbalist. Ustream is Truman the Herbalist. In Jesus Christ's name I pray, faithfully praising the Most High. Amen.
This is the Yog, and I listen to the Search Engine International, the #1 show on the radio. That's what it is. It's official.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Search Engine International. Elder Rawchaa, can you hear me?
Absolutely. I'm here.
Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of stuff was said. Whilst I was here listening, a couple of scriptures came to mind. I wanted to just read a couple of them, and then I get your thoughts and we listen to take some callers in and hear what everyone has to say. All right. And I was actually in the book of Revelations here, the 11th chapter, and when it says here, and I'll read it, Elder, and you can break it down. When it says, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. Verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. And that came to my mind listening with, when Dr. Rawchaa going in of the homosexual agenda over there in Babylon, and what they're actually doing, and all of these societies that set up, molesting children. You have the man boy lover society from the LBGT movement, and all of that over there. The Black Lives Matter, and when you read the scripture here, Sodom and Egypt. I mean, we can't deny this. We can't deny that this place is spiritual Sodom and Egypt, serving bondage, not just physically, but spiritual bondage on our people. Let me finish.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
It says, where also our Lord was crucified. As we know, they hung our people up on trees, just like how they hung up the Messiah. Verse 9. And they of the people and kindred and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And we understand that this is the spiritual dead bodies here in this city of Sodom, and in this spiritual city called Sodom and Egypt. These are the valley of dry bones. Verse 10, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell upon the earth. And we know the two prophets refer to Israel and Judah. Verse 11, and after 3.5 days, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from a higher entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And this is what I'm getting at right now. There's a great awakening going on amongst the people right now, that the fear that is falling upon the nations around about, seeing the people rise up and wake up and come to the truth. This is why all this comedy is going on. I have to call it comedy. You with me? We spoke about it last week. Elder Rawchaa came on. We're looking at the elections and all that. I mean, it's straight comedy. You with me? And I'm listening to Dr. Rawchaa, and I remember speaking to him a couple of years ago. And you know, one of the questions that we had asked him is, do you see any better going for this society? Any better to come? You with me? And it's like each conversation gets progressively worse.
It gets worse and worse.
You follow me?
I mean, believe it or not, even though he was pretty sharp cutting from the beginning, in our first interviews with him, it seemed as if he, to some degree, felt that there was just a glimmer of hope if people get behind the right legislation and come together under it. Still, based on him being called to deal with City Council and accept that challenge, and may the Most High be with him with that. But all in all, that's still showing that even though he see everything for what it is, he still feel that there's a chance, like some, that you can do a little change from the inside. But I think that glimmer of hope that's left within him will soon be quelled based on what's about to happen. And that's why at the very end I just mentioned, listen, even though we want to use our pail, our bucket, to try to pail a sinking ship. You look at Isaiah 11 and find out the areas that will still be in existence after the fall of Babylon, because you can't see everything he sees and not deal with the realization that that it's over. The realization that, according to prophecy, it's only a matter of time before Babylon is judged, like he's mentioned, like he has mentioned in so many prior interviews. So he's there. He can see. But I think that he needs some time away from Babylon. You can't really understand its pull within it. So, but all in all, outside of, I could agree with the things I agree with. I agree with his passion. We may not agree on everything, but he do have a certain love for our people that I wish pastors and those doctors in authority had, beyond any shadow of a doubt. So I just hope, and believe it or not, things have come a long way. Even, he now acknowledging who the Khazars are. He know we are the Hebrews. I mean, this is a long way from where we began. So, and I know brothers and sisters are listening. You probably want to, hit him on a few areas that you don't agree with, and I understand. But through gradual work, and don't forget, he has been following our lessons online. But through patience and not attacking him in the areas that he hasn't gotten to yet, it has allowed us to build a relationship to be able to share more with him. Exactly. So I mean, what a powerful brother to have in the fold. once all this is said and done. You understand? Not his political pool, but just his passion, his understanding, his education and love for our people, and using that not to be on the other side and be some paid prop to circumvent and take us down, but to work for the embedment of the children of Israel within America. And I believe the Most High called him to do so to some degree. We're going to continue to work with him. You understand?
Definitely.
There's a few more calls, and you notice, and I'm going to show you, and I want to mention this to brothers and sisters. We all know, and you've all experienced the understanding that the Gathering of Christ Church bring forth, and to know that we know the majority of the answers are in the Bible. We know the answers to some of the questions we're putting out there. So we're not putting out these questions because we don't know the answers. We're putting out these questions so that the idea can be stimulated amongst our people to begin to ask themselves these questions and know that we've tried everything else and there is no other answer outside of the Bible. That's why we have these meetings where we'll humble ourselves and listen. And that's another key attribute of any leaders. Not to just be teaching all the time and bringing something forth, but hear what other influential brothers with some level of status have to say, so that we can come on one accord, first starting with understanding each other and being able to humble ourselves to others' authority in the sectors they have more power. See, and unless and when you look at the scriptures, this is how Christ and the disciples worked. Okay. It's about being able to conversate, coexist, humble ourselves, even dim our light so others' lights can shine. That's what it's all about. And I can't wait to invite some of these sisters on that he mentioned. They're going to be on this show. You know, they will have the platform to give us their understanding of their experiences and to enlighten us on things that we don't know about in our community. Real time, where when I say that, there's things like sexual slavery, like a lot of girls being sold into slavery and all that. We know that the social services and the taking children and all that from homes, but how many of us knew that the children being taken out of our homes were being sold on the open market for slavery with these pedophiles and these deviants? We didn't know that. No one told us that. We thought that they were taking the child from an underprivileged home based on the fact that, that house that they took the child from couldn't provide for the child. We thought that it was a good thing that the social programs and the DHS and others were coming in and taking children from those that were on drugs or what have you, or underprivileged people, or people, just bad parents. We thought that was good. So, hey, we're going to have Dr. Ness Chappelle, we're going to have Deborah Hall on. We're going to talk about these things. Our ignorance have allowed evil complicity, because we've been ignoring these ills within our neighborhoods: the pedophilia, the homosexuality, the drug system that's used to break up our homes and take our children. What's going on in the churches? Homosexuals running the churches and whatnot. We've been silent long enough. It's time to stand up. But anyway, that's why we ask these questions. And also we do it so that we can set forward a relationship beyond these radio interviews. Okay? A bond and a trust has been developed between our show and Randy Short. You understand? He's a good man. So, well, let's open up the line. There's a few things I wanted to go into, but we're running out of time. I wanted to go into the Georgia Guidestones and showing what the scriptures say concerning that, because I was dealing with that a couple of weeks ago, but how that links into Jacob's trouble on the next level, because I was dealing with that the last time I was on. But hey, this show took a turn for the better. I thought it was going to be only a couple of minutes. He hit on so many points and so many things came out. I would not have had this show any other way. This show could not have gone on any other way. So we'll put what I have on the back burner until next week. Okay.
All right.
But go ahead, Gotcha.
Man, no problem, Ella. I'm going to open up the lines and take some calls in, all right? And just remind the listeners that the numbers to call in is 646-200-4309. Just hit 1 if you have a question or comment. Brother Azariah will take your call and we'll be with you momentarily, all right? We're going to try to keep it down, keep it to the minimum, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, so that we can get as many calls in as possible, all right? So let me go to the first caller here from the 803 area code, which is Sister Jenny with a comment.
Hi, shalom. Shalom, brothers.
Shalom.
I'm giving all praises to the Most High. I just wanted to say that brother was true, because I had a brother that was he was a chauffeur in 9/11, and he got caught in the dust, and about 2 years later he died of colon cancer. And I mean, he suffered. I mean, he really, really suffered. So I know there's truth to that. But another thing I wanted to say is I was invited to a couple of, Gentile churches trying to support some friends. They asked me to come because they listen to me. I go. And both of them where I went to, the pastors are preaching now is services, and they telling them that they don't have to be baptized to be saved. To make it. So they're preaching against, a lot of the pastors are now preaching against baptism. I mean, what do you think of that, Elder Rawchaa?
I'm going to tell you, sister, excuse me. They've been teaching against baptism. I noticed pastors, they came up with a doctrine now where they'll tell you, they'll always point to the man that was on the cross with Christ when Christ says,
yes, exactly.
Today you will be with me in paradise. It seems like they point to that. If they're teaching baptism, why even bring up a scenario of someone on the cross who can't come off the cross and be baptized?
So
but the majority
that's
of the
logical
people,
there.
This is what I'm saying. The majority of the people they talk to are not on death row. They're talking to normal people who have access to water. So why even push the idea that baptism is not a necessity unless you're working for the devil?
Wow.
So that's the doctrine.
That is one.
Where, listen, Christians are teaching people that we all fall short, which we know the scriptures say, but don't worry about it. You don't have to be baptized. You can be wicked up until your last breath. And if you confess your sins and accept God and Christ in your life, at that last breath, you're going to go into the kingdom. You're going into
long as you say it before that last breath is gone.
Utterly ridiculous. That person is going straight to hell.
Lord.
So the pastors are teaching people to put it off. Don't deal with your sins now. Put it off. When tomorrow is not promised to us.
But like you hit it dead on. You hit it right on point. That's exactly what they was using both times.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because no one they're talking to is on death row. Everyone they tell these people, listen, if you tell somebody they can be wicked all their life,
they'll do it.
Make it at the very end. What choice will they make? Oh, you mean to tell me
Elder Rawchaa, I gotta use that one. I gotta use that. I gotta use what you're saying. I gotta break them down with that one now.
Yeah, if I can do what I want the rest of my life and with my last breath confess my faults and accept Jesus in my life, what need me to repent? I shouldn't be up in your church. I shouldn't hear anything you got to say. I'll be here 30 years from now, and I'll call you on my deathbed, okay?
Just preach the funeral.
Listen, it's
just
total.
Just preach the funeral.
It's Corinthians 11th chapter where it tell us that they are ministers of unrighteousness.
Wow.
Christ says, unless you be baptized through the water and the Spirit, you shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven. That's what he told the people who weren't on the cross with him. Okay.
What I heard it with my own ears, they are definitely preaching that. Well, Elder Rawchaa, I just say, me and my family, as far as us, we see, I'm going to pray for my friends, give them this information. If they accept it, I could just plant the seed. I hope God delivers them out of that because they believe in it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Christ's sheep hear his voice, and a stranger they will not follow. So, if they belong
all right,
to
thank
Christ,
you for that words of wisdom.
There you go. All right.
Thank you, Elder. Shalom, y'all brothers. Bye-bye.
Okay, push one, we'll put you back in, right? Okay, yeah, you're handling the, Gotcha, you're handling the calls, right? The board?
Yes, all right. Sister Jenny, just push one for me, please, and I will take you out of the queue, all right? For one. Okay. All right. And let's go. You know what? That what she just mentioned before, Elder, about the not being baptized, right? It's not just Christian teachers out there teaching that. You have Israelites teaching that. You with me? And that's how far that Antichrist doctrine has gone to. You with me? Where even Israelites are denying baptism.
Yeah, but it's the same Pharisees that stood afar off while John was baptizing. Mm-hmm. And John said, "You vipers, who have warned you from, who has warned you from what's to come? Bring yourself a sacrifice, meet for repentance." You understand? So they stood afar off, looking at John baptized against the baptism. That's the only way into this. Not you being an Israelite. You being an Israelite is good, but if you do not take the steps to walk the path of Christ, and Christ was baptized before his ministry, you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven, irregardless of your ethnicity or what nation you were born into. Yeshua is the way, the truth, the life, and no one come to the Father but by him. Period. Okay. All right, what's next?
We have Sister Salima with a question from the 347 area code.
Yes.
Hello.
Shalom.
Bless you.
Hello, shalom, elders. Shalom, Elder Rawchaa. I was just calling because recently I've been seeing like crows, and I live in like Brooklyn, New York, and that's very rare up here where I live at. I've been seeing it like 3-4 days in a row.
Okay.
And I'm wondering.
The scriptures tell you where the carcasses is, the bird shall be also. So if crows around, crows come around where there's carcasses for meat. So it must be food. That's the only thing I can say. You understand?
Yeah.
They're not around unless there's food. Okay.
Okay. Okay. And congratulations on your granddaughter, Elder Rawchaa. And I just want to say, I love the Hebrew Bible Academy, and I'm gonna stay there forever. As long as y'all go on, I'm there.
Hey, sister, class, we got a continuation of the law.
Yes.
From last week.
Oh my goodness.
And the law classes are coming out real well. And we're going to also integrate that with showing how Christianity makes us believe it's okay to break the law on purpose. And then make it where if you're following the law, it's evil. So that's what they're teaching in the Christian church. If you follow the laws in the Bible, you're evil.
Yes.
Which is backwards in itself. So this academy, we're going to be dubbing more into the law, but with the New Testament. With the New Testament. It's coming this Sunday.
Beautiful. I mean, I'm just amazed by it, and I thank God because I ran into you guys, like, online, me and my husband, like, over a year ago. And ever since we did, forget it. Like, that's all we do. And I just thank God that I ran into the truth, because I used to be once in the Christian church. And I just keep thanking him all the time that we found the truth. Like, I'm just so thankful.
Well,
and nobody teach like you. Nobody. God has really anointed you. And I always say that you are an anointed man. And so is Elder Lawya.
Well, hey, give the Most High His glory. All praises be to the Most High.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Through His power. Through His power. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Love you guys and have a blessed one. I always pray for you. And look, I'm on the Hebrew Bible, and my screen name is Max Star. That's for me and my husband. We put it short. Max Star 31.
I won't forget it, and thank you for your support within the Academy, okay?
Okay. Have a blessed one, all right? I love you guys.
All right, thank you.
Later. Okay.
Bless you.
All right, Sister Salima, just push one for me, please. The water. All right, let's keep it moving. A little time winding down. Let's go to the next caller. We have brother Sabi with a comment.
Yes, this is Brother Sabi. I'm from New Mexico. In my backyard, we got Challenger Street. We got the 8 to 12 foot deep landing strips for the space shuttles. We're listening to you from out here in New Mexico. I just want to let you know that there are so many of us out here that are so very, very happy to have elders and deacons. They're all teaching the same thing. And I just want to say there are men that have the understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. And I want to thank you for giving us the understanding of what the will of the Most High is. Thank you, elders and deacons, so very much.
Well, thank you, brother. All praises be to the Most High. And the greatest thanks you can give is to serve Ahia in the name of Yeshua and finish. Do it to the end. There's going to be much discouragement. Satan is going to come in with indecision. Hey, we have to endure unto the end. Just endure. That's the greatest thanks we can receive. Endure. Sure. Okay?
Well taken. The water.
Okay, you're in the ball.
All right, Brother Savior, put you back to queue. Just push one for me, please, and that will take you out. All right, let me move to the next caller. Let's go to the caller from the 312 area code. Shalom, caller, you right?
Shalom, brothers.
Shalom,
how are you?
I'm good. First of all, I'm really in awe right now because I'm speaking to Elder Rawchaa and Brother GOCC. I want to thank the Most High, first of all, for you two. Y'all woke me up. You two brothers woke me up about 2 years ago. Called me into a couple of videos through another brother. I was trying to run from the truth, and y'all set me straight real quick. And then I got a couple of comments. I was watching an old video you guys did, maybe 2 years old. I don't know if you guys realize you pretty much predicted something that was going to happen in London with the bombing in the soccer stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching, and I'm like, when I saw that, I made my mind up, like, I'm with GOC. That's it. It's nothing else, because God was talking about the cameras on the highways and everything, and then, Rawchaa, you mentioned bombing in a soccer field or something that may have been coming up, and then first thing I thought back was like, that just happened. And this video is old. So, my mind's made up. I'm GOCC. You guys come with the truth. I watch all these other Israelite camps, how they try to disrespect you all, and it's like, really, you guys disrespecting them, and I've never heard you guys say a foul word about anybody.
We love them.
And I know. I've been watching.
Yeah. We love them.
And Second, I don't know if you guys been having a Sodom watch on what's really going on with, like, Bruce Jenner.
Yeah,
we thing they got going.
We seen what that dude's been doing. He's more so being utilized by the world powers agenda. What I'm saying is he's really an actor operating for the system. He's not doing nothing. It's what they're doing. So we tend to, we do have, I don't know where Mark finds some of this news, but during the Academy, we do start off with Sodom Watch. Where we keep
I've been following.
a keen eye on these sexual deviants who are trying to come off under the guise of civil rights. So that we can actually bring light to their true agenda. They just need more opportunity to rape more little boys and girls. So
did you see he's going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated naked?
Well, listen, I don't look at Sports Illustrated anyway.
Right.
But that's a reason not to ever go to Sports Illustrated sites. And I would suggest the same. Boycott Sports Illustrated.
It's just the fact of, I was thinking like, you're going grocery shopping with your kids, and they have those magazines just sitting on a stack on the stands everywhere. Yeah. And now you got your kids looking at this guy that's supposed to be a girl.
Yeah.
And did you hear about the one other thing? The judge in Arkansas who was caught. They caught him with like 4,000 pornographic photos of men and young men, and it's been going back for like 30 years now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. I mean, that's the modus operandi of those in authority.
Yeah,
that's what they do. but thank you, though. Thank you. Thank you for your insight. Please push one to go back at, and we thank you for your support, brother. But yeah, I think I hear enough of Sodom Watch myself. But I thank you. Who do we have next? Let's try to keep it down to about 2 minutes.
We just under 20 minutes to go for the show, so let's keep it down to a minute so we can get in as many calls as possible. All right, the next caller here we have is from the 816 area code here. And so you're live. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sean, brother. I was just wondering. I forgot what that was that President Obama was speaking at, where they were telling jokes, but he said that it's a beautiful end to the republic. I was wondering if y'all heard that, and
we did hear that, and it's not a joke. He was telling the truth.
I didn't think so.
He told everyone that he told everyone it's the end of the republic.
Right. Everyone just laughing.
Yeah, and everybody started cracking up because everyone in the room know it. They are a part of it. So if it's not a republic, what is it?
Right. I mean, that's with the Pledge of Allegiance, So
that means that the government, through all the executive orders, are now being ran through one tyrannical seat. That means the Senate has no voice. That means the Congress has no voice. That means the people has no voice.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is whoever controls that seat is the tyrant.
Right.
You understand? So it's not the person, because really the president is more ceremonial, but it's the money that control that particular position. They can do anything they want through the presidency now. So that's what Barack Obama was rolling out during that roast. And he was right. Ever since 9/11, that began what we would call the end of what they would call the republic. The mirage of a republic. Because now that we look at it, since the Federal Reserve has been in play, the republic there hasn't been a republic since then, because you can control every seat every political seat through the finances now. So the Republic is dead. Only thing they need to do now is take the guns. But what they need to take the guns is not these false flags that come out every other day with these false shootings, but a natural disaster of biblical proportion.
Right.
And you know what? That's what's coming sooner than later.
Right. It's going to be the next one.
It's going to be what they did to Katrina throughout the whole United States. They are about to erupt one of those volcanoes over there. They're about to have an earthquake that's going to make it where people will turn in everything just to get food and water. I'll be going into this next week. The Bible tells us in Revelation 16 and 19 that great Babylon will fall, that it will be a great earthquake will come that will split Babylon into 3 places. So that's going to be the disaster. Now, of course, a few things must happen first. There is a little time before that, but believe you me, it's going to happen. And that's how they're going to get the gun. That's how they're going to depopulate a large number of the United States. Then after that, they'll be able to take their guns all throughout the United States, just like they did through Katrina. So it behooves us as a people to get right with the Most High, to follow His commandments. Don't follow the way of the world. I know it seems like this thing is going to go on forever. It's over. It's time to... and I'm just speaking out to the brothers and sisters. It's time to work for the kingdom to come, because this kingdom is done. You haven't gotten anything out of it already, chalk it up.
You're right.
Okay. Well,
I'm not looking for nothing.
Before we get to the next call.
Okay. Thank you, brothers.
Bless you. Thank you for your call. All right.
Shalom, brothers. Push one, please, and put you back in the queue. Almost just over 10 minutes to go. Let's move to the next caller here in the 786 area code. Shalom, caller.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
I just wanted to say great show tonight, and the water, and all praises to the Most High.
Well, thank you, sister. Bless you.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right.
All right. I'll push one, sister, and I'll put you back in the queue. This is our final call here, Elder Rawchaa, so we can close out after this one. Number is 623 area code. Shalom.
Hey, Shalom. Rawchaa, I had two quick questions for you, brother.
Shalom.
I was wondering, do you think the ships of Tarshish is going to come before or after Christ makes His return? And I heard you saying from the crumbling scrolls that Judah, Benjamin, and Levi need to be in the Middle East so that they can be the ones to fight the sons of darkness. I was wondering, like, will we be able to take a ship to Tarshish? Is the ships of Tarshish going to come before or after Christ makes His return? And I heard you say from the crumbling scrolls that Judah, Benjamin, and Levi need to be back in the Middle East as the sons of light to fight the sons of darkness. And I was wondering, will we be able to take the ship to Tarshish over, or will we have to find another way?
Okay, the ships of Tarshish will be commanded to go out through the commands of Christ. So that's going to happen upon the coming of Christ. He's going to send out leaders. He's going to set up leaders. And then He's going to send out the ships to the wrecked areas within the Americas that's left, South America, to bring over the remnant that are left. Linking directly to 2 Ezra 13 and 39. So are you asking if there's remnants of Judah that are still in South America, will they have access to the ships of Tarshish too? Is that what?
No, I was asking before that point, like, will we be able to be there, like, to meet Him at His coming instead of having to wait for the ships of Tarshish? So that answered my question.
Of course. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi is already over in a lot of those areas now.
Yes. Okay. So those of us who make it out of America, we could be waiting on the ships of Tarshish. We don't need to be in the Middle East. It could be either road.
Well, those that are over there already will not be on the ships of Tarshish. The ships of Tarshish will be sent out upon the coming of Christ to bring back the sons and daughters the remnant that's left out after the fallout. You understand that?
Yeah, I do. So, okay, I was just asking if I needed, because I wanted to be in the Middle East before the ship. That's why I wanted to know if I needed to be in the Middle East before the ships of Tarshish.
Well,
that answered my question.
Okay, brother, well, where you need to be, are you in the church?
Yeah, bro, I'm familiar with the church. You know my father personally, not putting his name out there like that, but you know.
No, I'm not asking you, are you familiar with it? Are you a baptized member of the church, under an elder of our church?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Because if you are, you will be getting instructions on everything according to the scriptures on what you would need to do. You understand? And I'm saying that because we put out general information on these social networks and all that. You understand? But there's more detailed information given to those that are in the church. So you'll be where the elders are showing you in due time. Okay? Okay.
Well, thanks for answering my question, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. No problem. And I'm putting it out there real quick because some brothers and sisters try to go before direction and do things, and it end up being catastrophic. You understand? Right now, when you get the truth, you should be focused on self-examination, cleansing, and receiving the Holy Spirit and operating amongst the body in your respective areas. That will lead you wherever you need to go. Getting our spirit correct first is more important than relocation. Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else, Gotcha?
That's it. Elder. That's all the calls here for tonight. We got 8 minutes left to the end of the show, but like I said, I know where you are right now is late, so if you want to end it now, we can.
Oh yeah, I really have to lay down and get up early in the morning, so I thank the Most High. I thank the Most High for you, Elder Rawchaa. I thank the Most High for the brethren over there that are working hard. So all of the brothers and sisters that are working to uphold righteousness and bring forth this word throughout the four corners of the earth, we bless you. We thank the Most High for Randy Short, the guest, the callers this evening. And I really want to thank the brothers and sisters who are part of our leadership classes, which are going great, with the elders really spearheading that, making sure that we're all in line doctrinal-wise. And I thank the Most High for all the brothers out there and elders who are now helping us with organizing this the way it needs to be and your participation in it. We thank you. And we thank the brothers and sisters who are in our academy, that's strengthening us through the help that comes through the academy. And we're so happy to continue to bring that from week to week, every Sunday, early in the morning for you. We thank you for that. We thank you for your support. And we have a High Holy Day coming Saturday sundown, which is the Feast of Weeks, or First Fruits. So this Saturday will be a Sabbath, a feast. Let's give all honor to the Most High, because this is when the Holy Spirit came down and gave the disciples the discernment, the gifts to be able to understand each other in different languages during the time of First Fruits, which is the Feast of Weeks. So all praise be to the Most High in the name of Yeshua. We thank you, we love you, we bless you. And brothers and sisters, will soon see Zion. All right, gotcha.
All right, I'll catch you. I'll speak with you soon before the Sabbath, Ahaya willing. And to all the brothers out there, stay strong until we speak again. Bless in the name of the Most High, Ahaya Bashim Yeshaya. Wow.
Bless you. Lord.
Shalom.
Imagine if I told you they was feeding us babies. Would you think I was real? Would you think I was crazy? Imagine if I told you that we need to be unified. Or if I said Christ was black like you and I. Imagine if I told you a different story about Hitler. Or I sat you down and said, let's go through some scriptures. Imagine if I told you that Obama was gay. And that I could prove it. What would you say? Imagine if I told you the truth about the virgin birth. And when he returns, he's coming to destroy the earth. And the meek shall inherit that. And turning the other cheek was a virtue. Would you cherish that? Imagine if I showed you that pork was an abomination. And that abomination ain't a part of our nation. You probably would just call me a racist. Imagine if I told you I could show you what grace is. Imagine that.
What we involve in, what you guys are invoking in, and what you guys are involved in, it's going to be a situation that people are going to view you as in a cult. You're crazy, you're out of your mind, you're going against, and it's amazing what today is accepted as fact and reality, and what accepted as fantasy.
Imagine if I told you that you was a royal nation and that God's people came over here on the slave ships. Imagine if I told you that Satan made vaccinations and that the kingdoms are waiting for all of those that'll make it. Let's face it, what we thinking is basic. Life as you know it is evil, best to escape it. Imagine if I told you Mars didn't exist, or stars are a spiritual being there to assist. Imagine Deuteronomy 28 and 66 is the reason that I'm telling you this. You think it's a trip, get a grip. Everything about life they lied to you. Just look at our state shouldn't be a surprise to you. You want us to rise, do you? Then get up in this book. You brainwashed and sleep, my brother, get up and look. We filling up the jails, but they the ones that are crooks. That live in waters are overflowing brook. Imagine that.
Okay, now we all see this right here, right? And this is basically, our kids get taught this as kids. There is no proof or evidence that this ever took place, but people accept it as fact. They have never found a fossil of a half man, half ape ever. I looked, and I could, I looked all the books, and it's all come from a theoretical perspective. But I'll keep it to the next slide, if you don't mind. Okay, I'll read that slide, brother, if you don't mind.
There's more evidence of Moses crossing the Red Sea than there is evidence of evolution.
Right, and that's a fact. That's not a theory. Okay, because we did the research, and when you look at the theory of evolution, it is a theory. But let's see what it's dealing with. And I'm setting the stage here because many people, when they come into this truth, they first come like gun ho. I'm an Israelite. I know it. I feel it. The slave ships in the Bible. Right. And when they start getting darts from their family. What's that guy with the meat treat and you're crazy and you're Muslim or you're I'm gonna call the cops on you. You start getting worried and you start questioning. This is a reality. If everybody is right and I'm the crazy one, not 10 billion people could be wrong, right? Yeah. You start thinking about that.